All we have for Theology Thursday is some video. Take it away.
God almost certainly does not exist. But if it does, and it is all-knowing, meaning it knows everything that ever was...
Put a pause here. Think about the epistemological pride that one must have to think, I, some guy in the year of our Lord 2024, I've just discovered the flaw with religion, which is that bad things happen to good people.
Actually, this flaw was discovered 1,500 years ago or something. It's called the Impotence Vs Evil problem, and we've known about it since, like, forever. It's just religious people have never answered for it, is all.
I've just discovered the flaw with religion, which is that there is such a thing as evil in the world. Oh, wow. Wow, man, that never occurred to me.
Then why are you still religious? It makes no sense.
Occurred to any of the theologians for all of history.
No, it did. It did, actually.
All of the men who actually dedicated their lives to studying this and who were deeply faithful and shaped the faith. This never occurred to the author of the book of Job, for instance, or the author of the...
It occurred to all of them.
Genesis, for that matter. It's never occurred to anybody, right? If I'm this guy and it occurs, I say, God is supposedly all good and all powerful and all knowing, and yet there is evil in the world. Well, what does that mean? Statistically, all the intelligent people ever have believed in God, and
That's not true. But either way, it's a logical fallacy. It's an appeal to authority. Would it be appeal to authority? I'm not sure.
Is it possible that I am wrong, that I am missing something? No, it is the children who are out of touch.
Prove me wrong, kids.
Awful to other species on their planet. Awful to their own species, and arguably most importantly, awful to God, because they would break its precious little nonsensical rules. But God still...
Put a pause here. Nonsensical rules. That's interesting. Thou shalt not commit murder. Would you...
Yeah, let me just draw it out so that, I'll fill in the gaps that he left. Or that Michael Knowles is pretending he left. The rules are nonsensical. Not allowed to eat shrimp. Not allowed to eat pork. Can't put two seeds in the same hole. Literal seeds. You can't wear cotton and linen blends. They're nonsense, okay? The ones you're listing are not Christian rules. They're rules that have existed since the dawn of time. You can't murder has been a necessity for society to function, for people to work together. So he's going to pick out the only rules that Christianity did not invent, or Judaism, or whatever, and claim those are the ones he was talking about. Totally.
It's a nonsensical rule? Probably not, probably. If this guy's saying there's all this evil, there are all these bad things that we do, well, then you're acknowledging there are rules, and that the rules are sensible, that the rules are logical.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Yeah, those rules are logical and sensible. What about not eating pork or the other 612 commandments? There weren't just 10, there were 613. And only 4 of the first 10 were sensible to any degree. So I don't want to hear it.
Sudden, the God that you're demeaning or attempting to demean as nonsensical and illogical, you're acknowledging is logical, has quite a lot of sense, infinite sense, you might say. So, which is it?
Here's an example to consider. If you knew, not guessed, not hypothesized, not assumed, but you knew undoubtedly, assuredly, 100% for a fact that if you had a child, that child would grow up to be a mass unaliver, and you still decided to have that child, you would be a terrible person.
You wouldn't be. I mean, he's confusing so many things. Even going back further, he says that humans are, sort of uniformly evil. That's not true.
You disgust me. How can you live with yourself? You
I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
On a throne of lies.
Human beings are not begotten by God. We are made. We are creatures made in the image and likeness of God. So that's a difference. Kind of like I can have a child. Well, I can't have a child, but my wife can have a child, and I can make a leftist tears tumbler. In a sense, those are both products that I have something to do with, but one is of me and the other is an artifact made by me. Now, he then says, if you knew somehow in advance that your baby were going to grow up to be a mass murderer, you would be a bad person if you didn't murder your baby. That's taking a lot of...
Okay, I didn't catch that from what he said.
That's assuming a consequentialist kind of ethics, a utilitarian style.
Yeah, except God knows. There is no assumption that needs to be made here. God knows everything. He's all-knowing, all-wise, all-powerful, and all that, right? So no assumptions necessary.
Ethics, which I think would be unfounded because you'd be committing murder, which I think this guy already admitted, implicitly or explicitly, is wrong, right? At least implicitly, he's admitting that murder is wrong. So you would be a very bad person if you did murder your baby. Lots of ethical confusion here in this guy's diatribe. Keep going. There's so much more to say. First, though, go to Helix.
Nope.
Free pillows. Go to helixsleep.com. This is their best offer yet, and it won't last long. With Helix...
Oh my God, dude, get over the fucking ad already. Jesus, how long is it?
Better sleep starts now.
So, since God knew it was bringing evil into the universe, and it decided to do it anyway, God is evil. Oh, and if you think the free will excuse gets God out of this one, you're wrong, because free will is incompatible with an all-knowing God. If God is omniscient, then it knows how we're going
Put a pause here. It's just the only thing that's really astounding about this video is the pride. I guess I don't peruse Reddit nearly enough because this type of Reddit tier atheism, I sort of forgot existed. It's one thing to be an atheist. You just can't get yourself to believe in God. I think that speaks to an intellectual and certainly a spiritual defect. To offer these
intellectual and spiritual defect. It takes an intellectual and spiritual defect to not believe in God. Wow, dude. Talk about pride. He was just complaining about pride, wasn't he?
Arguments. What that reveals is not just that you don't believe in God. It reveals that you've never even really taken the question seriously because you've never read any of the people who can explain these answers to you. You're making arguments that are so dumb at a very elemental level that even the prominent atheists wouldn't make them. What this man is expressing here is not, I don't believe in God. I've grappled with the question and I don't believe in God. He's saying, I haven't even cracked the spine of a book to
just complete nonsense. He is asking about the problem of impotence versus evil. You think he hasn't cracked a book? You think he made this shit up?
Investigating this. Keep going.
If God is omniscient, then it knows how we're going to act in advance. Everything that we do has to align with God's foreknowledge, meaning that our free will is actually just an illusion. Either God is all-knowing or we have free will. Both cannot simultaneously be true, and this argument supposes the former over the latter.
So put a pause here. God is outside of time and space, except when he enters into time and space. And so God being outside of time and space and being all-knowing would not contradict man, who is within time and space, having free will, because God does not, see the future exactly. He sees all at once.
Wait, how the fuck do you know that? That seems like the kind of shit that only God would be able to tell us about, right?
So there's no contradiction here.
The only way that the free will excuse actually works here is if God is not all-knowing. So, if you're willing to admit that your God is not as powerful as you ascribed it to be, then, and only then, will the free will excuse be applicable. But again, this video was about a God that is all-knowing. On that note, I'm going to be over here being good without God, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.
None is good without God, and none is good but God, actually, to quote God.
Can I get an amen up in this?
The point that
he is such a cringy human being with all the stupid shit that he plays, all the stupid little clips.
Takes on God creating mankind, even knowing that man would fall, is the nearest thing to an interesting point that he makes. So what does that mean? It can mean one of two things. It can mean that God made a mistake, which is not possible, or it can mean that a world of incarnation and atonement is actually better than the world without the fall. It could mean, as Christians sing on Easter, that the fall was actually a happy fault. Oh, happy fault that won for us so great, so glorious a Redeemer.
This guy would absolutely be a commander in The Handmaid's Tale, 100%. I'm just now going through that for the first time, The Handmaid's Tale. Never seen it before. I'm learning a lot about cultural references that I didn't get before. If anybody has not seen it and or read the book, a cult takes over, like a full-blown, I think they're called Bethlehem or something, or Gilead. It's called Gilead, yeah. I remember because Jehovah's Witnesses have a school for Gilead or whatever. They call it the Gilead Training School or something. Anyway, the cult is called Gilead, and they are like a militant group that takes over with the help of, I haven't made it far, so you're going to have to, I know a little bit about it. With the help of people who are sympathetic to the cause. And they have this whole setup where I guess there was a virus or something, I'm not 100% sure yet, that made it difficult for people to reproduce. And there's like a population collapse problem. So all the high status people, all of the like influential people in the movement, they're called commanders because they're like running the government or whatever. And I guess congressmen are commanders or something. I don't even know exactly. Anyway, to punish adulterers and stuff, if they've had children before, then they will turn them into handmaids. You basically become a slave that has to, that the commander takes advantage of every, once a month, I think, in a ceremony where they try to get you pregnant. And the commander's wife is there, and she's like holding your arms and everything, and it's fucking weird and creepy and bizarre. But population collapse combined with a desire to make sex non-enjoyable, make it like mechanical, something that nobody should be enjoying. That's kind of what led to the whole thing. So anyway, yeah, and Michael Knowles, he even looks like the commander, the main guy, in a lot of ways. And the handmaids are supposed to like basically be mistreated terribly. Like they're not allowed to read. Women generally are not allowed to read. Nobody, like if they're caught drinking or anything at all, then they get in like a lot of trouble. They'll get their hand cut off, for example. I mean, real shit. One girl got her eye taken out because they're breeding factories. And all that's required is that they are capable of reproducing. It doesn't matter if they can see. So anyway, they're property. They're slaves. Like I said, it's a militarized cult. They have AR-15s all over the place and everything. And they have this whole weird hierarchy of like, the handmaids are controlled by aunts, and aunts, A-U-N-T-S. And aunts are like, they work with Marthas, who are kind of like the slave holders or whatever. It's just a really weird system. The handmaids are basically made to suffer terribly for the rest of their lives, is the bottom line. Anyway, yeah, that's The Handmaid's Tale. It's super interesting, and many of them check out. They're prevented from being able to check out most of the time, like separated from any stuff that could possibly like be used to check out, kept in a room. But they find a way over time.